Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Ready to get philosophical. Today, we're diving into Stoicism.
Ooh, sounds intense.
It is, but not in like a boring, dusty old way. We're going to see how it's actually super relevant to your life, like right now.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So we're going deep into this essay. It's called Stoicism in 2025, A Timeless Philosophy for Our Modern Age by Jörg-Owe. And it's all about how this ancient philosophy can help us thrive in this crazy modern world.
I have to admit, the idea of Stoicism in 2025 with all the tech and everything, it kind of throws me off. I mean, didn't the Stoics, reject all that stuff?
Right, you'd think so, but that's what's so fascinating. Schneepat actually argues that Stoicism is having a huge resurgence, and it's exactly because of all the stuff we're dealing with today.
Oh, wow. Schneepat even calls it a bridge between ancient wisdom and modern dilemmas.
I love that. Okay, so help me out here. Why is Stoicism, this ancient philosophy, so relevant in 2025?
Well, think about it. 2025, it's crazy, right? We've got AI taking over, the political landscape is constantly shifting, and then there's the whole digital age, the pressure, the information overload.
Don't even get me started on the notifications.
Exactly. And Jörg-Owe really hits on all of this. See, Stoicism gives us a framework to deal with all this complexity, but not from a place of fear. It's about navigating it all with purpose.
So less about, wearing a toga and more about having the mental tools to deal with, a robot stealing your job or something.
You got it. It's about building resilience, finding that inner strength. One of the most powerful tools Schneepat talks about is this idea called the dichotomy of control.
What of what now?
It sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. It's all about focusing on what you can control, your reactions, your choices, and letting go of the stuff you can't, the economy or what some algorithm decides.
Okay, so how does that work in real life? I mean, I feel like I'm constantly drowning in notifications, emails, all that digital noise. How does this dichotomy of control thing actually help?
I hear you. It's tough. So let's say your phone's blowing up with notifications, right? You can't control when those messages come in, but you can control whether you let them completely run your day.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
Right. Do you really have to react to every single notification the second it pops up? Could you maybe set some boundaries, decide you're only checking messages at certain times?
So it's kind of like a productivity hack?
It can be, but it's even bigger than that. It's about finding peace, finding purpose, even when everything around you feels like it's going haywire. Yeah. And Schneepat also talks about this other really interesting Stoic concept called virtue as the only true good.
Virtue is the only true good? That sounds pretty deep.
It is. See, it's easy to get caught up in chasing all the external stuff, money, status, likes on social media.
Tell me about it.
But Stoicism says, nope, true happiness, real fulfillment, that comes from within. It's about developing your character, your integrity, your wisdom.
It's so funny you should mention social media because actually Schneepat talks about how people like Ryan Holiday, the author.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, well, he's been making Stoicism relevant to a whole new generation. Schneepat calls him, get this, a modern-day Stoic evangelist.
I can see that.
And Holiday's books, what's that one? The Obstacle is the Way, something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, they've taken these, ancient ideas and made them super accessible. It's pretty amazing. He basically shows you how to use Stoicism to deal with the world, like a difficult boss, a crazy commute, or just trying to make sense of all this.
All the noise.
Yeah, exactly. All the noise.
It's interesting, though, right? Because Holiday's the popular guy, the one everyone knows. But Schneepat also mentions this other guy, Massimo Pigliucci.
Pigliucci?
Yeah, Pigliucci, I think. And Schneepat calls Pigliucci a Stoic rock star, but in the academic world.
Okay, so we've got the popularizer and the professor. What's different about Pigliucci's take?
Well, Pigliucci brings a lot of depth and rigor to Stoicism. It's he reminds us that this isn't just some self-help fad, it's a whole philosophical tradition with centuries of thought behind it.
It's funny you should say that because Schneepat actually quotes Pigliucci in the essay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's so Stoic. It's something we suffer more in imagination than reality.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right. And it's like so true. We spend so much time worrying about stuff that might happen, stuff that's like totally out of our control, and we just end up stressing ourselves out for no reason.
And that's where the dichotomy of control comes in, right? It's about recognizing what you can and cannot control and like choosing to focus your energy on the things that actually matter.
Totally. But, Sneppet doesn't just like sing the praises of Stoicism. He's fair. He looks at the whole picture. He also talks about some of the criticisms.
Yeah, no philosophy is perfect, right? Stoicism definitely has its critics.
What kind of criticisms?
Well, Sneppet mentions this argument that Stoicism can lead to, like, emotional detachment. Where you're so focused on controlling your own reactions that you kind of become, like, indifferent to the suffering of others.
Ooh, that's interesting. So it's like, if you're too busy trying to be, like, all calm and stoic, you might miss out on, like, real human connection and empathy.
That's one way to look at it. Sneppet also brings up the argument that this whole emphasis on accepting what you can't control could lead to, like, passivity, in the face of injustice or, like, big systemic problems.
Yeah, I get that. Like, if you're always just accepting everything, does that mean you never fight for what's right?
Exactly. It's a tricky balance.
It seems like Stoicism, like, requires a lot of self-awareness.
Yeah.
Like, being mindful of how you're applying these principles.
Totally. Sneppet really emphasizes that Stoicism is, like, a tool. And like any tool, you can use it for good or for, not so good. It's up to the individual to like really think about how they're using it.
Right. So it's not just blindly following a bunch of rules. It's more about using these ideas, these principles to like make better choices, to live a more meaningful life.
Exactly. It's about finding what works for you, what resonates with your own values and like your goals in life. It's your journey,
Okay, I'm with you. So we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about like the basics of Stoicism, its relevance in, our crazy 2025 world, the whole modern Stoic movement with guys like Holiday and Pigliucci, and even some of the criticisms. But like, what does this all mean for our listener? Why should they care about Stoicism when their lives are already like packed with distraction?
That's a good question. I think it comes down to this. Stoicism gives you clarity. It gives you purpose in a world that, can feel completely overwhelming. Schneppet's argument is that these principles can help you deal with, like, the everyday stress, the anxiety, the uncertainty. They can help you focus on what truly matters and, like, actually live a life that has meaning.
Yeah, and like Schneppet reminds us, it's not about becoming some kind of emotionless robot.
Right. It's not about suppressing your feelings.
It's about understanding them.
Yeah, and choosing how you respond to them.
Right, and how you respond to, like, the world around you.
Exactly. It's about, like, taking control of your inner world so that you can better navigate the outer world, which, let's face it, can be pretty wild sometimes.
Okay, so where do we, like, go from here? Sneppet doesn't really give us a step-by-step guide to becoming a Stoic, right?
Not exactly.
It's more like figure it out yourself.
Maybe that's the point. Like, Stoicism is about figuring out what works for you. It's not like one size fits all. It's a framework.
But Sneppet does mention some stuff.
Yeah.
Like ways to, actually make this Stoicism thing part of your life.
He does.
He talks about like journaling.
Yeah, journaling.
Mindfulness.
Right.
And like really spending time with the Stoic texts.
Yeah, really reflecting on them, It's about finding your own path. Like what speaks to you, what feels most relevant to like your own life, your own struggles.
So it's kind of like a choose your own adventure, but with like ancient wisdom as your guide.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. But I got to be honest, I'm like a little intimidated by all this. It sounds great in theory.
Yeah.
But how do I actually like use this stuff?
Yeah.
In my real life, like today?
Start small.
Small.
Yeah. Sneppet would say that. Pick one thing. Like remember the dichotomy of control.
Yeah.
Try applying that to something specific. Like maybe it's your to-do list. Or, I don't know, that traffic you always get stuck in. Instead of letting it get to you, all that stuff you can't control, focus on what you can. Your attitude, your effort, how you respond.
Baby steps to Stoic wisdom. Okay, I can do that. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Schneppet's essay, what's like the one thing you want our listeners to take away?
That's a good one. I think it's this. In a world that feels so often, like it's spinning out of control. Stoicism offers this, like grounding. It gives you a way to find peace and purpose. It's a reminder that we have like way more power than we realize, and that true happiness, it doesn't come from outside, it comes from within. Shinepat's essay, it's like this call to action, you know, to really explore this philosophy and like see how it can actually help you live a better life right now in the middle of all the craziness of 2025.
That's really well said. I think Jörg-Owe would be like totally on board with that. And all of you listening, we encourage you to keep exploring, experiment, see how these Stoic principles can work for you. This deep dive, it's just the beginning. Keep learning, keep growing. And until next time, stay curious, everyone.